All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Devstream 174 breakdown. So, today we do not have a lot of different things to talk about, but we do have one very big topic that I think is extremely worth discussing because I think the reception to it in the community is very poorly mannered and also just like poorly reasoned in general. So, we have a lot to talk about with one particular point, but basically, we have some talk about what's going to be coming with Whispers in the Wall, and also before we get into that stuff, we have some kind of just vibes from the devs in terms of like their feelings on how the current updates have went and when and what we're getting for like companions still going forward. So the over under is basically for the companion rework. They feel like it went really well. I tend to agree, as you will see in the video tomorrow, where it's like a 40-minute discussion on what all of the good companions are now, and there's no shortage of them. Um, TLDR on in terms of like the vibe is that they think that this is good so far, and they're planning another wave that's going to be next year, which is of course going to be what we've discussed many times, which is going to be the charm nerf, which just needs to happen for a variety of reasons. I've gone over them pretty in depth in the past. Um, and then is going to be bringing a lot of the not good companions up and changing their precepts and making sure like the other, mainly probably the dogs, have a lot more to do, and then maybe a few sentinels and stuff here as well, to kind of bring all of the companions more in line with one another and give a lot of choice in terms of what the different companions can offer you. So far, with what we've gotten from the companion stuff, spoilers for tomorrow's video, I think that things have gone really, really well so far. And I'm happy to hear that they are going to be moving forward with trying to create like more reasons to use the companions that are still not good. Uh, that's all great. Basically, they just want to collect data for right now for like what are the companions that suck, and then focus on those companions to bring them up, which is great. Can't argue with that. Um, Other stuff, it seems like they're pretty happy overall with just how like the update went, and I think it's been a fantastic update. Like Hydroid was a huge success. Can't wait until Pablo reworks another Warframe. Probably going to be like I don't mean the quality's been high, so I expect it to continue. And that stuff has been good. TLDR update good. Quality of life stuff great. Update more please. Like that's basically what's going on. And then to talk about some of the stuff that's coming with Whispers in the Wall, just kind of like the stuff around the edges that are more minor notes. We know we're getting a new Warframe named Corvex. We should be seeing them more on next month's Devstream. And in addition to that, they are going to be retiring the classic renderer for PC. That is going to mean a bump in like requirements for the PC requirements, but the new stuff with Whispers in the Wall only works with the new renderer. It is just simply not going to work. They have like a bunch of new like visual tech that's going to be going into it. They showed off a little bit of that, and it looks really nice. Basically, like fog effects like working, and like it looks very RTX, but it's not that tech. But it looks really good just in general, and excited to see what the Whispers in the Wall is going to look like, and especially going from an older area straight to Whispers in the Wall. Like not everything in the whole game is going to be updated to like the new visuals, of course. So it'll be really interesting to kind of compare like A to B in terms of what this area looks like compared to what we've seen in the past to see kind of the big difference. Other stuff with those shader improvements, we can see a nice before and after. This is going to be majorly affecting like the skin tones on our operators and drifters. As you can see, the darker skin tones get like this weird kind of like plasticky look to them. And with the new renderer or the new shader and renderer, it looks way better. I think all of these look massively better. So great stuff there. Just like improvements to how our operators and drifters are going to look. So that's good, and like that's going to be continuing onward as we get like kind of backported tech from what the Soulframe team is doing. Those improvements will continue forward. Other stuff we're going to be getting with Whispers in the Wall. We are going to be getting a clan event with Whispers. This is not going to be a competitive clan event, but like the day after or like a week after, they said, for Whispers, we are going to be getting Gargoyle's Cry. We do not know what exactly that entails, but we do know that this is going to be a non-competitively focused clan event. So if you are not in a clan yet, then you should probably get one. Also, they did make it very clear that this is also going to be balanced for people who are running solo clans. So if you are a solo clan that is like not above like that minimum size for the clan, you shouldn't probably have any real worries going into this. You can remain as just a single person with your clan all built up, and there shouldn't be any real problems. Other stuff, we are getting the Sevagoth Deluxe, and this is like kind of like undersea vibes. Like Sevagoth was already kind of like a space pirate, so this kind of just brings him down to like a regular water pirate, sea creature type vibe. Uh, Looks pretty cool. Have to see how it translates into game. We didn't see anything that translates into game except for this small fellow. This tiny fish here. This is a armor piece that you're gonna be able to use on any Warframe, and the fish like will float away and just like be around your character. So it's kind of like a shoulder armor that is also sort of a pet. And it's adorable. Probably going to put this on a number of at least our aquatic themed Warframes. And that is very fun. Also, cross-save news. So cross-save stuff is very much in the works. That's going to be before the end of the year. That's the stuff here. And we're hearing like a lot more about kind of what we can maybe expect with that in terms of like bringing it up. And that includes a few different things. So cross-save, they basically need to bring to parity everything and do a big store audit in order to make sure everything aligns. I mean, stuff that's available in the store is going to be either retired or like the price is going to change or like it's going to be platinum now or it's, you know, like whatever is happening, everything is going to need to like be synced up. What it sounded like is a lot of the platform specific packs are going to be permanently retired. There's no word yet on if like you might be able to get onto those platforms and like purchase that stuff and then have that stuff on an account later that's going to be played on PC or what the deal is with that stuff. And we'll find out more probably soon with that. But the big thing is that Prime Access is going to be changing a little bit. It's going to be changing for all platforms. It's going to be somewhere in the middle of where it is now from what PC is and what console is. So what we can expect for the Prime Access stuff is that we are going to end up with 3 packs. And the 3 packs are going to be as follows. Number 1, it is going to be all of like the Prime items and a bunch of Platinum like we're used to with the accessories separated from that. And then it's going to be all of the items, the whole Prime Access with the accessories all together, bunch of Platinum, all that good business. And then separately, there is going to be just the accessories by themselves. And basically the TLDR with that is that they are going to be adding Platinum to the accessories packs. They seem to imply that prices on this stuff isn't going to be changing, but because they're changing kind of the structure of the way the Prime packs are going to work, they wanted to kind of juice up like how much Platinum is in those packs. So you could probably expect that the value proposition is going to be a bit better. Obviously, if that's not the case, that will be very bad. If like the Prime Access accessories go up in price, that will be massively negative, and I will not like that. But if we get the Prime accessories how we've had them and like the price we've had them, which is like $50, and that's going to continue forward, but there's a few more things in that pack, personally, can't complain. Sounds like a good deal to me. For my point, I think that the packs that have all of the stuff from the Prime Access were the ones that were worth purchasing. Like either that or the accessories were the ones that were worth your money if you were going to go into it at all. So to have those be the available packs, to me, just makes perfect sense. That seems like the way that we should go. If they're just going to like juice up the stuff there, that sounds great. In addition to the Prime Access stuff changing, there's also changes that we don't really know what they entail in terms of Tenogen. We know that Tenogen is going to be changing, and DE stated extremely explicitly that their main goal is to not negatively impact the artists that make Tenogen. Like, that was, like, really just, like, the only real information that we have is that they do not want to negatively impact anyone who makes the Tenogen, which, I mean, sounds good to me. Obviously, in a perfect world, I would love it if all of the Tenogen was available for Platinum, as I'm sure many of you would also love. But however that one shakes out, for me personally, I've been buying it through Steam for ages. Like, that's just the way that it's done on PC. If that changes to be Platinum, thumbs up. I love to see it. And if it, like, you know, goes to a system where, like, you kind of have to get on PC and only buy it through Steam and then it's just on your account everywhere, that's also a compromise that I think is fine overall. Not my preference, but I think it'd be okay. For the vast majority of the player base, that's kind of how things are now anyway. And then in addition to that, they briefly mentioned but did not confirm anything on account merging. What this would mean is if you have an account that is on PlayStation, like an older account on PlayStation or on Xbox or wherever, and you also have a PC account, that's maybe the PC account is the older one, and you have a PlayStation account that you've played way more on, they want to be able to meld these things together, it seems like, but whether or not that works out, it seems like it's kind of up in the air. But I just wanted to call attention to that they did mention it. Also, the November Devstream is going to be putting even more detail to all of this stuff. A lot of just kind of the vibe of the way cross save is going to go was what we kind of got on this dev stream. Other final things is story skip. So, story skip as an option, I just want to kind of explain what's up with this. So, first and foremost, it says here on the Whispers in the Wall launches 2023, the story skip option coming. That is tentative. That is not guaranteed to come. That is not guaranteed to happen. Here's the over-under. The way Rebecca presented this is that this is a thing that they've had a lot of internal discussion about, and they want to present it to the community before they do anything with it, really, and then basically get the feedback from the community in terms of what the community wants that to look like, if the community wants that at all. This had an immediate, largely extremely negative pushback, and I want to talk about this extremely in depth. It's worth noting, I talk about this for 2 full hours whenever I streamed this, because there is a lot of different details and angles that you can put on this. For me personally, I think that story skip is positive, and I want to talk about the reasons why that is. If you want to see my full 2 hours of discussing this, I have linked a timestamp in the VOD below. You can go check that out. It is a podcast length discussion about pretty much just that I had on stream. So check that out if you want way more depth than this. Here's the over-under on what a story skip seems to entail, and that is basically that a player would get in and have to complete Vor's Prize, have to do the basic tutorial stuff, and then you'd be given an option that would cost platinum in order to skip up to the point where you would be ready to do Whispers in the Wall. So the benefits to that are kind of obvious, I think, which is that if you have friends that don't play Warframe, and you are doing the cool new content, and they think that it looks fucking cool, they could get in, pay for the story skip, and then be at content with you, and you get to play with your friends. Also, if you have someone who quit during Railjack, the optimal time to have quit Warframe, and they don't want to go through all the stuff to catch up to you, and they're an old clan member that's trying to come back, they could pay for a story skip and put themselves up to Whispers in the Wall, and then play the new content with everybody that's at the new content regularly. This is purely good, I think. In terms of the option presented to players, it gives you the option to just bump up and play with your friends and have, community and play with the people that you know and have a good time and not be 50, 100 hours behind the other people you know that want to play Warframe. Putting more players towards the end of the game and pushing players more towards being ready for that stuff and giving players the option to just be there with a money option, I think is good. This of course comes with a number of different caveats. I think that the price on this needs to be conservative. I'm talking 20 to 30 bucks is absolute, 30 being absolute max, I think, for something like this. I think going higher than that would be crazy. And the stuff that it entails that it needs to be able to give you, and the price needs to also be modular. So for someone who's had gotten Railjack, the price needs to be lower to account for what you would not be skipping. So the things that I think that this needs to do for you is actually get you ready to do Whispers in the Wall. Obviously, I don't know what Whispers in the Wall entirely contains, but we know that it's a regular path thing. It's not just a steel path only piece of content. And you doing it on the regular path, and most people are going to be doing it on the regular path. For that, the build requirements for such a thing are not too high. So what it needs to do is it needs to do all of the required quests, which gives you a number of different items that you're going to automatically have, such as Umbra, the Sagittarius, the Nataruk, and a few others. And it needs to give you Umbra max level with a reasonable build that you can actually use him. It needs to give you the Nataruk leveled with a reasonable build, which is not hard. The Nataruk's very good. And the Sagittarius leveled with a reasonable build on it that you can actually use in this content to good effect. Skia, also a good weapon. So, good stuff. The Excal, Nataruk, Skia, already good weapons that you will have from the required quests that you would need to get here. In addition to that, other things that I would like to see with this is basically whenever you have a player skip up to this, giving them the option of a Warframe that is probably a short list of Warframes that it can also give you that are friendly for newer players. Frames like Styanax, frames like Rhino, Nezha, Revenant. Like, there's a number of Warframes that are pretty easy to play and quite good, and I think that they should have that list available for players to be able to pick one of those, and they'll get that frame leveled with a reasonable build, like a loner build, uh, whenever they use this skip. So you get a Warframe that you think looks cool, and then you get all of like the standard stuff, and then with that in mind, you can just do Whispers in the Wall with your friends. Obviously, I'm not saying like give them all the prime mods and max them out and do all this stuff because frankly, you don't need to do that in order for someone to be able to be at current content and have a good time. That's just unnecessary. Also, I have seen some people, likely from the FF14 community, where this is actually a problem, say things like, "Well, it's going to be a problem that I'm going to have bad players in my squad." I hate to be the one to break it to you. You already do. It is very common in public matchmaking to public match with people that have no fucking idea what they're doing. They are auto modding. You are in Steel Path, and they just have no clue what's going on. And hopefully they're having a good time, but they are not helping. Especially before this most recent Archon like change that we got. It was very common to be able to load up Archons with your one-shot build and normal stuff, and if you just gave it an extra 30 seconds, that Archon would kill everyone else in your squad. It's very important that I think that people understand that if you are someone who's like good at this game and you feel like you're getting good squads pretty often, you need to probably reflect on that and like analyze a little more because very often those of us who are good at this game, if you are in public matchmaking, you do not have a team, you have an audience. You have people that are there, you are doing the mission, they are observers. They don't quite understand what's going on. Hopefully they are having fun. And that is a very normal situation in Warframe for all but one, maybe two people in a squad to have no idea what's happening, and they just are shooting the mans, and they're playing as the Warframe that they really like. Like, they're playing as Limbo, and they're just out here killing a couple guys while you, as Saren, murder hundreds of thousands of enemies in this survival mission. And you, as the extremely powerful, well-built Warframe where you know what you're doing, won't even notice that that Limbo's really not helping. Like, that is a very big consideration that I do not think that, like, a sense of other players' skill is going to be much of a condition here at all. Warframe does not have content at the current time that you can't very easily solo with a little bit of investment. Very recently, I was showing off builds that we're going to get to in the free-to-play through, where I'm using reactorless, formaless weapons and warframes in order to do Steel Path with no problems whatsoever. We're going to get to that on the free-to-play through whenever it comes back. But it's worth noting that like it doesn't take a lot to be very, very powerful in this game. But like bad teammates aren't uncommon, and like that's just normal for Warframe. Other things, there is another thing with this that I've seen as a criticism that I also want to address, which is that like there's a feeling that people don't want others to like miss parts of the story. They want people to have to do Second Dream because it's such a big thing for them, and like New War is so incredible. And like I don't disagree, and I personally would only ever recommend a story skip with a particular caveat that is that you should only ever story skip if you are catching up to other players and you just want to play with your friends and have a good time, or if you just really don't care about the story at all. If you're in those two camps, then probably the story skip is something that I could suggest to a person. But otherwise, of course, I'm never going to suggest a story skip to someone. I think that Warframe story is super engaging and really fun once you get into the meat of it, starting with, of course, Second Dream. But I, as a player, should not be dictating that you must play through all of the story content. And it really is just another person's decision. Like, there's nothing that makes me like a better person because I played through the story than someone else. Like, sure, I might know more about what happened, but like, you know, as of my most recent lore video where I go down like the huge timeline of like the stuff that happens in Warframe, let's be honest, most of the people that have been playing this game for 8 to 10 years also have no idea what happened in this story. So is it going to really be that different whenever a new player skips it and doesn't get it? Would they literally know more if they watched my timeline video? It's entirely possible. And that is like, you know, a problem with just like people remembering things over the course of 10 years and like all like this stuff being disconnected or confusing. And because Warframe has like a very like, you know, deep inset of like things that have occurred over the course and like, you know, things that are just connected in ways that like would be unexpected and like all these different properties. And, you know, it's a consideration. Like, I think it's very important to know that, like, not everyone is just, needing story. Some people just want to grind. They're like, yeah, I want to grind that new Warframe. Yeah, I want to get Goss. Yeah, I want to just go do the content that gets me the guy, get the guy, make the number go up, and shoot the mans. And like, people enjoy games differently, and adding an option to skip up to current content is only going to let players like have more community with other players, and like let people like play in their friend groups that they might not otherwise get to play in. Especially for returning players, especially with cross save coming up, we're going to have a lot of players that, like, well, their account was stuck on PS4, and their PS4 broke, and they haven't played Warframe since. They'd really like to, but they're stuck at whatever patch their PS4 broke on. And if they come back and like they're like, I'm back in, I want to play this, a story skip for them, skipping them up to the current content. If they've been like, watching YouTube videos about like what the content was prior, and like, they've seen it, but like they want to be at the new stuff, that's going to be really helpful for a person like that. I mentioned earlier that like someone that like, quit during Railjack, skip all the way up to like this thing that you think looks super cool and you want to get back into Warframe. I think there's nothing wrong with that, as long as the like price to value ratio is there. Like, it's giving you a certain amount of things. You can already buy a Necromech. You can already buy a Railjack in order to like skip those grinds. And I think that like giving you another Warframe of your choice would be really healthy, especially for like the diversity of Warframes that you might see from like people that might use a skip. I think that would also be like a big plus there. But like the price factor on how much that costs definitely needs to be deeply considered. I don't think there's any world where I could like support a story skip that's like $60. That just feels like outrageous to me. But paying 20 to 30 bucks to skip it all and just go play with your friends is not that outrageous. Like, I think that's not that crazy. And I think that it would be a useful tool for a good number of players. And also for the players that like, start out in Warframe, play it a bunch, they've seen some cool stuff with it. Maybe they're not having a good time early game in Warframe, and they're like, I could toss 20 bucks, 30 bucks at this, and then just like kind of see where we end up. Where do we go to in like 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 the end course of the story currently in Warframe? Where do we get to? And then they pay that money, and then they like play it some more, and maybe they really enjoy it, and now they're way into Warframe because they experience kind of what like that further in experience could be. Or maybe they pay for that and then get into there and they still don't like it. They still don't get it. They still just don't vibe with Warframe, and they go play something else. What's the worst case scenario there? Like, they paid for like, finding out all the information they wanted, and DE gets more support. I don't think that that's that crazy. I think that's totally reasonable. And I think overall a story skip option would be good. Also, like, some people have criticized this like being like a platinum buy option. I don't think it would be healthy for the game to just offer such a thing for free, because money for story skips is kind of, just in terms of the way it is in other games, it is a deterrent. Obviously, no one without outside factors, I think personally, wants to just skip the story in the game. Like, if you're not trying to catch up to your buddy, or like, hey, you have some reason of like you're not having fun, or like, some other outside like different thing is like making you want to do that, like the money like prevents you from being like, oh yeah, I shouldn't spend the money on that, there's no reason to do so. If it's free and it did all the things it needed to do, gives you a Railjack, gives you a Necromech, gives you like a frame of your choice, gives you Umbra, mods out your stuff, and gets you ready for that up to date content, I think it becomes like it's just way too tempting for a player to be like, well, it just gives me all that stuff, I wouldn't have to do anything. And then like, that's like, then like the gameplay of Warframe is good and enjoyable, and like doing those things I think is a good time to get all that stuff. But like, the allure of just press the button, get it all for free is just something that humans can't handle. Like, just very honestly, humans cannot handle that responsibility. We do not self-govern effectively enough in that way on the whole. So like, the whole like it being free thing, yes, in a perfect idealized world, sure, maybe that could be a thing, but we don't live in that. We don't have that. And in such a time as we do, sure, I'd love to see it, but it's just not real as it stands right now. But yeah, that's the way I feel about the story skip stuff. There's like, obviously a million factors to go into, and you can tell me what you think about all that in the comments below. It's worth noting there is a Reddit post for replies about like how you feel about like, the story skip stuff and like what you'd like to see from it if you wanted it all. There's a Reddit for that. There's also the forum post. I'm going to link both of those. There's going to be the pinned comment down below. So go check those out. Give your feedback. The major thing that I really want to stress here is that the way that this was presented to us on stream from Rebecca was extremely like from like a very respectful place of like Rebecca also really loves the story of Warframe and like probably doesn't feel that anyone should really skip it, but like giving it as an option has its benefits. And it was not presented as a this is happening. It was presented as a this is a thing that we've been talking about a ton and we want feedback on. So fucking be respectful. Like, be respectful of that. It is definitely, like, a much better case than, like, what we got with the heirlooms. Obviously, the heirlooms were just dropped on us, and there was no room to, like, change it completely from, like, what the original inception was, and D did their best with that situation. This is a situation where it is before it has come out, and they have, like, a vague idea of, like, what they're thinking for it, and they want a feedback preemptively. That means feedback about, like, what you think it should cost, like, what you should get, like where it should put you, like what players need to know, like all that kind of stuff is all really good information to give DE so that if they implement the story skip, it will be the correct quality, which is incredibly important. I think it being a very like reasonable price with a good amount of like stuff that it's giving you like a good opportunity to actually be at a decent build and have fun in Whispers in the Wall, I think is incredibly important. And like just putting you in, giving you like, you know, no mods and like you have an unleveled Nataruk and like an unleveled Skia, unleveled Umbra, can't put mods in anything, and you're just like standing with your fucking thumb in your ass in front of the Whispers in the Wall entrance and you're just like going to be useless, isn't the way to go. They need to be more specific with like what's happening to put you in that place, and I think they can do it successfully. And hopefully, like with the feedback that they're literally requesting, they can accomplish that, and it can be a good option for players getting into Warframe. But yeah, that's what's up. Hopefully, all of that was pretty clear. If you have like questions about like my thoughts on that or any of that business, let me know in the comments. Hopefully, you guys have enjoyed the breakdown, and I will see you tomorrow. Also, of note, I streamed the Devstream over like the channel. I can co-stream now between Twitch and YouTube. I have that stuff figured out in terms of how I'm going to be doing that. That should mean more archives on the archive channel. That should mean that the free-to-play through is probably very likely going to be all streamed on the main channel. So if you want to catch it there, I'm probably going to schedule those very regimentally so you'll know exactly when those are, just based on YouTube scheduling, and whether you want to watch that on Twitch or YouTube doesn't really bother me either way. I am planning to get the like channel memberships thing up and running so people can have like a kind of at parity experience between how my stream is on Twitch and how things are going to be over on YouTube. Still figuring that stuff out, still like seeing where we're going to be. But yeah, that's what's going on. Overall, not a ton of like, you know, super specific news here, but the story skip thing has like really blown up, and I really wanted to talk very like reasonably about this. I think a lot of people are bringing like their personal feelings about like someone else like not watching the anime into like if they think other people should have the option, which I think is pretty unhealthy. But yeah, that's what's up. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. I will see you tomorrow. All right, welcome to October, everyone. We have some big updates coming, so expect me to be going over them. But before we get to that, thank you very much to all of the super patrons: Alex Barnum, Arbiter Daydream, Nuven, Lotomatic, Brandon Coggin, Brutus Salazar, Dylan Dworsky, Ethrain, Fawn, IQ is Thick, James Harsthorn, JC4 Science, John Lobdill, Joshua Adams, Luzanth, Mikakel, Minty Ginja, Mitchta, Nerve, Remoxidate, Tamrielic Wastelander, The Coupon of Death, Tomeworm, Waifu Wars, Zack Zaner, and Zeraphir. And of course, thank you to all of the $5 patrons as well. It is extremely appreciated for the support. But yeah, we have huge reworks coming this month. I'm definitely going to be making a bunch of content around those, and expect the next free-to-play through to be starting relatively soon. We are going to be starting that before the end of this year for sure. Should be a really exciting time, and thanks for the patience while I've been sick. I appreciate it, everybody.